Today, we're going to show you how to save a lot of money. We were looking at Newport motors for the back of our kayaks, a native Slayer 10.5 propels. And after pricing those and batteries and everything else, we're into it for the price of a freaking kayak, per kayak actually. So, the little YouTube research, found some people have done some conversions, but their videos were long and drawn out and full of BS. So this is going to be straight to the point how we do it. We're going to use this right here. This Minn Kota 30-pound thrust, 30-inch shaft length, and a mount for the back of the kayak, which I'll show you when we get it installed, and a couple of miscellaneous parts and a battery. And we're going to get this thing done for well under 500 bucks. So stick around. First thing, here's the trolling motor. It comes out of the box just like this. That piece was off there. I have it right here, its handle. We're not going to use this. So first thing we're gonna do is pull the top off of this thing. 6 Phillip head screws and the top comes off. There's the piece we need. We'll show you how to get to it here. This one has a battery meter on it, and I was thinking about repurposing it, but I went ahead and ordered new battery meters, and you'll see all this when it comes together. But I don't know if you can repurpose this one, but I'll look into it. Well, upon further investigation, this thing doesn't look too waterproof or robust, so I don't think you could repurpose it and put it in a box where it's going to be sealed. I mean, you might be able to, but for what a battery meter costs, it's probably not worth the effort. So this is just going to stay with the trash pile. So anyway, we'll disconnect these 2 wires, get this top out of the way, and get down to what we need. There's a nut with a bolt that goes through from here to here. We're going to take that out. It's all Phillips head so far. All right, with that out, you can pop this loose. This piece right here goes right here. It'll probably just fall off in the process. It's held on by the top, but it just fell off on me. Not a big deal. Just pull it off, get out of the way. Now you can pop this up. It just lays in here. You can pull this up, and you should have, this piece here will come off too. This front piece will just come off. Set it aside. So you should be looking like this right now. Next step is disconnect these wires. Now you disconnect these, you don't have to worry about marking them because they're labeled. I don't know if it shows up in the video. There you go, white, red, and yellow over there. So you can just pop them off and not worry about it. It's pretty much stupid proof. Now with those disconnected, you only have 2 more wires connected to this, and those go to this battery cable. So you can undo this and feed it back out, and then this piece will come out. Now when you try to get these 2 through, they're not going to fit with these lugs on, so you have to cut these off. Okay, at this point, you've got the potentiometer here loose with the cable. This is loose. You can feed these back out through here and get this head unit off all the way. You've got 6 screws, a bolt, a nut, the 2 lugs you cut off, this ring, the top piece, handle you're not going to use, and then this piece right here that you're also not going to use. That's where we are. Let's get the top piece off, and then we'll get a little deeper into this. Pulled the trolling motor out of the bracket. You just loosen these 2 things. It slides right out once you have all this disconnected. Clearly, we've mounted the trolling motor bracket on the mount here. Next thing you need to do is deal with the release. This thing has a release, as you're probably familiar with, to adjust the height. The problem is, if we hit something, we don't want this thing locked down. We want it to be able to come free, and from where you're sitting, you're not going to be able to just come back here and manipulate it. So we're going to do a little bit different here. First thing we're going to do, here's the latch, and there's a pin right here. You can see I've just tried to knock it out already. I just wanted to make sure it would come out before I showed it to you. So we're going to take this pin out, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, I got the pin out. Quick tip on the pin. See the edges of it there, how the one side's a little knurled there, and this side's smooth. It goes in this way, so as you're at the back looking forward, you want to hit it from left to right, so it comes out no problem. With this thing locked down, you can see this sticks up. You can take this and turn it, and you can see how it's got it's elongated on the either end there. This is right here where my finger's touching is where you want to come out with it. You turn it around, and it'll just work its way right out. Okay, then to get this piece out, which is the piece that sticks up through right here, you want to bring this up and get this pushed up a little bit. You can reach underneath here and grab it with your pliers, and it normally sits in like it would here. If you're looking at one of these, you'll understand as you're doing this. This locks into the different detents. You can just grab it with your pliers, turn it just a little bit, and it comes right out. And there's the whole assembly removed and put back together, minus the pin that goes right here. At this point, this should just go back and forth, no problem. Put the pin back in like it came out. We're gonna get back to that in the future. So this should operate freely now. This pin should be back in. This piece should be completely removed. At this point, you can go ahead and reinstall your trolling motor. Make sure you put this collar back. I don't know what the technical name is for it. I'm calling it the safety collar because there's one latch here to tighten it down, and this will do the same, so the thing can't fall all the way through. So make sure you get both those back on and tightened up. Actually, just leave them loose for now. We'll tighten them up in a minute. All right, one quick point of clarification. This pin does not need to go back in. I was incorrect. We do not need this pin. You can leave it out or you can put it in. It's not going to make a difference either way. If you're running the 30-inch shaft like these are, you won't need to cut this. If you're running the longer shaft, you'll want to probably cut it down to get about this height. But you don't have to cut this unless you really want to. I'm not cutting it. I originally intended to cut it down to here just for a lower profile. But because we're going to need to tilt this motor, and the law of averages says it'd be better to tilt it from up here, we're going to leave it long. Not long, I'm sorry, stock, as you'd get it when it comes from the box. So we're going to leave this one like it is. Next step is to work on some wiring, so stand by. Also, in regards to the 30-inch shaft, you see where it is right now. My rudder's not down, but you get the idea. Here's the prop, here's the bottom of the kayak. It's probably about the right height. I'm just guessing it, obviously, because we're not in the water, but if you cut that short, you're not going to have any play. If you want to run that thing deeper, if you're into some, rough water or something where the prop might be popping out of the water, I suggest leaving that a little bit there if you're using the 30-inch shaft. All right, quick parts list. These 4x4x2s, I drilled the holes in them. I'll get back to them in a minute. I had to use 16 gauge wire because that was all they had at Lowe's, but that's fine. The little 1/4-inch eyelets, 1/2-inch threaded to 1/2-inch slip, 3/4 to 1/2-inch 90s slip, some heat shrink, connectors for the back of the potentiometer right here, splices if you're going to splice your wire. I'll most likely solder mine, but I got those just in case, and so you'd understand it if you weren't a solderer, you didn't have solder, you can use these, and some JB Weld plastic bonder adhesive. Should be pretty much the extent of the parts list. There's a couple of little bits and pieces we're going to get for tilting the motor, but we'll get to that in another section of the video. And once you have this done, first thing you want to do before you unwrap this, because it's in plastic, drill a 1/2-inch hole right there. I started with a pilot hole in that one, and then I decided I needed 1/2-inch. And that will allow this to come through, which we're working on right now for the next section of the video. Now, once you drill that 1/2-inch, just to the right of it, as I'm looking at it, I use a 7/32, but anything will probably work, and drill 2 holes so you can kind of elongate that. It doesn't have to look perfect. I'll show you why. So the potentiometer will fit right there. See how that fits flush like that? It doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to fill it in with epoxy. If you look on the back side, you can see how it fits flush right there. That's what you want. So you might have to elongate that 1/2-inch hole just a little bit because you want the whole section to come up. See how it steps right here? You want to make sure that it comes all the way through just like this, so it's as flush as it can get underneath, which is pretty darn flush. There's a little gap because of the way it's molded, but it's pretty flush with some epoxy on the top of that. That's going to stick right to the bottom of that lid, no problem. Okay, made a little progress. Apologies for cutting a few out, but I'll get you caught up. The people across the street have been nonstop with a freaking generator since 7 a.m. this morning. It's now 6 p.m. and they just finally shut the damn thing off, and it's a Sunday. Anyway, here we go. You saw this was on. This is the original piece. We didn't cut it down. Remember, it had a bolt through right here where the original head went on. We left that hole. We got another bolt to go through it and drilled a hole through the PVC cap. We've obviously painted it black and secured it that way. Then we got the 4-way flat connector like you'd use on a car, and put that on with some wire loom and just a little bit of heat shrink to kind of give it something to wear against. So this way we can unplug it when we want to remove the trolling motor without any hassle. So that's going to be your plug. I'm working on the other side now, the control box and everything. So that's where we are. These are on, wired up. We're working on the other half of the wiring now. All right, so we got the potentiometer. We extended the wires. We just got new wiring, put the spades on it and left it long. We'll hook that up in another section here. But I took the 2 wires that came off to the battery tester on the Minn Kota and put them on a voltage meter that we picked up here. Waiting for all that to cool down a little bit, and we'll put it together. All right, wires are fed through, everything's connected, soldered up, all hooked up. So at this point, this is where you should be. Everything hooked up, all the wires, bundles coming out the bottom here. We're gonna put this together and we can move on to the next step. And pro tip, make sure you put this gasket on before you put everything together. You can stretch it over there, but it's probably not a good idea in case you tear it. So here's your completed control box. Knobs on, battery voltage monitor on there. And we came out of the bottom with the wire, put it in loom. We split out the battery cables from here. The rest of them run down to here. These will connect to the other end of that trailer light 4-way flat, so we can plug into the trolling motor and disconnect if we ever want to take it all apart. So stick around, moving forward. All right, let me get you caught back up here. This is pretty much the final video in this series because the rest of it's just aesthetics. This is all hooked up, we showed earlier. The box was built as I showed you in the other video. Again, sorry about the noise from the generator. Those guys just wouldn't stop. But of course, it's a weekday and they're not even working today, so go figure. All right, we're hooked to our battery, 100% charge. There's our battery, it's a temporary hookup. And here we go. 1 click to the right, forward, 2. Of course, it all looks the same in the video. Back to neutral and reverse, 1, 2, 3, and back to off. That's it. Plug works perfect. All set up. Into this thing for under 500 bucks. Out the door, ready to run. We'll be fishing in a day or two. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you subscribe. If you have any questions about this whole setup, let us know. Happy to answer them.